Over the last few days, there has been, as usual, a lot of smartphone news, so I thought we'd tie them all up in one fancy little video. So the first one here is about the OnePlus 5T, and the CEO, Pete Lau, published this article. Now, there has been images about the 5T. I suspect it's going to look very similar to the 5. I think they've maybe done work on the bezels. But this article was all about why they're keeping the 3.5mm headphone jack. And he goes on about how basically they did a survey. 70% of users told us that the priority was sound quality. 80% of users use their in-jack headphones. So they've decided to keep it. Said it means that they can't slim it down, but it's worth the trade-off. And at the end they say never settle, which is quite funny because their phones do cut out a lot of important features. But yeah, it's a good move. I think it's a smart move. I think the fact that all these other companies are removing the headphone jack, by the simple fact that if you're a company and you offer a headphone jack, you're automatically giving something to customers that other companies aren't. I mean, personally, I'd like to see it back. I realise, with waterproofing and things like that, removing the headphone jack is better, but I'd like to see it back. Functionality-wise, it's very, very useful, so fair play. Maybe maybe this is just a marketing angle. I don't know, but yeah. The fact is, I've read reports that the Samsung S9 is going to remove it, so that's disappointing if that's true. And you might find it's just smaller companies that keep the headphone jack, but we will see. Now, the other news, the other phone that I saw released this week, you can see I've been looking at the specifications here. This is the Moto X4. And this is a mid-range phone, but it's a fairly decent one. So you can see here it's $389.99. In the UK, it's about £350. IP68 water resistant, so that's pretty good. So it looks like a fairly decent mid-range phone. And I mean, I've talked about this a lot where, one of the main reasons I buy a flagship is because of the camera, but we're seeing lots of mid-range phones coming out with better cameras. 12 megapixel and 8 megapixel rear cameras for brilliant professional looking photos. This can do 4K recording at the back, 1080p recording at the front. I believe it's 3 gigabytes of RAM, but I will check that just now. Right, so here the specifications. Snapdragon 630, and for you guys who don't know, basically just now all the flagships have the Snapdragon 835, and basically all the mid-range phones have the Snapdragon 630. It's a decent CPU, not as quick as 835, but for most people it's fine. 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, up to 2 terabyte and a micro SD card. Corning Gorilla Glass, it doesn't say which one it is. I checked this before, I can't remember. 5.2 inch screen, fairly decent size, 1080p resolution. So camera wise, I think it's pretty decent. Dual cameras at the back, f2.0, 60 megapixel front camera. I think it's pretty decent. I mean, I'll need to look at the footage and I'll need to look at the photos, but this is, in the future, I'd actually like to move away from flagship phones and buy good mid-range phones that had good cameras. I think there's a market for that where you don't need the performance for gaming and things like that, but you do want a good camera. So it's got USB Type-C and all that as well. So I think that looks like a really cool mid-range phone. If you don't want to spend as much money, on a phone as a flagship, that could be one to look out for. The other one would be the HTC U11 Life. Now, I talked about this in a video last week where it was, it was a few days before the conference. And this looks like a very good phone as well. It's retailing here in the UK, it's £349. I think it's a $400 mark in the USA as well, around that. This is a sexy little phone as well. So, in that mid-range, you've got the new Moto X4 and you've got the HTC U11 Life. And I think it's good that they're actually bringing out really sexy phones for the, the kind of middle of the market. IP67, boo. It's not that big a deal to me anyway, but it's still good to have 68. So it kind of is the HTC U11 in name only. It doesn't have the same cameras. It doesn't have the same CPU and things like that. It is a cool phone though. So here are the specifications, and it's, it looks very similar to the X4. 16 megapixels f2.0, 4K video recording, front camera 16 megapixel. In fact, if I had to just compare those, I think we'd find that the specifications are identical. Yeah, they look very, very similar. 2600 milliamp battery, and the battery on this one is 3000, a little bit better. But they've got the same CPU. Where's the CPU? There it's, yeah, 630. So very, very similar. Says you can get it in 4GB as well, 32 and 64, but by and large, this looks very, very similar. Now, it does have that edge sense, so if you like to squeeze your phone, that's a really cool feature. I would say that this is a better looking phone compared to the Moto X. I would say that's a better looking phone. But I do like the kind of rugged style, and I do like the fact that it's got a slightly larger battery, and it's, you know, it's more waterproof. Both of them look good in my opinion. So now the other one was the HTC U11 Plus. So this was the one they were calling it. They were switching between HTC U11 Plus and HTC U11 Ultra Play, and looks like they have called it U11 Plus. And there's news stories coming out that apparently this was going to be the original Google Pixel 2 XL. So this was going to be the Google Pixel 2 and XL anyway. And for whatever reason they changed it, and you know, the phones diverged. And yeah, I mean, everything that I talked about the other day is true. So let's have a quick look at the specifications and we'll show you what it's got. 6-inch screen, 18:9 aspect ratio, 3930 milliamp battery, DCI P3 vivid colors. And this is just telling us exactly what we saw. Now this is the DCI P3 color, quality visuals. I don't know if that's an official term or just their marketing term, if I'm honest. Single-handed experience, which is what you need in a big phone. Now this is the other thing that's come out, the Edge launcher. Hopefully this will come out in my HTC U11 as well. I think this is a really cool idea, and I think this is really taking the edge. You know, a lot of people thought this is kind of pointless, squeezing your phone to get a photo, but that's something I think a lot of people would find useful. You know, you do it and then you can scroll through your apps. I really like the idea of that, and I imagine it's going to come to the U11 Life and the original U11 that I've got. So Google Assistant, obviously it's got very good Google integration, seeing as they've been bought over. Well, half the company has. So yeah, they're going on about the fact that they've improved upon the camera as well. I looked at a couple of video samples and it looked a little bit, it was hard to tell, to be honest. I couldn't see it seems to be a minor upgrade over the original U11, which is no bad thing. This was a really good camera, still is. HDR boost, audio, right. Where's the specs at this point? Liquid surface, right. This is just all marketing stuff now. Where Android 8. I don't have to make you work to get the specifications. Right, so here it's here. Quick Charge 3.0. Thought they would have went for 4. Edge launcher, 12 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel at the front. Then it's HTC Boom Sound. 128 gigabyte storage, which is quite good. I think it's available in 64 as well, depending on your region. I wish they had a full official specs rather than this kind. Oh, there it's there. I didn't see that before. So these are the official specs. So link to this page so you can check out in full. Gorilla Glass 5. That's very good. Super LCD 6 for the screen. Slow motion video, 120 frames per second. 3D audio, 4K video recording with high-res audio. And I've talked about this in the past. See, the high-res audio sounds good. It does sound better than the 3D audio, but they record it in a file format that doesn't work with anything. Like, you can't use it in any video editor. You can't even send videos in WhatsApp because it isn't supported. So I've just stopped using it because I don't want to have to convert every single video that I take with it. So that's a shame. But, you know, they don't have that file format for it. So that looks good. I'm sure a lot of people are going to like that. But it's retailing about the $700, you know, £650 mark. So it's quite expensive. The other big news this week, obviously, I've not talked about it yet, is the iPhone X. And it's very expensive. But I will say, review. I will say that the vast majority of reviews are very positive. It's no surprise. I can't remember the last time a technology website didn't give an iPhone a positive review. Sometimes they do. Sometimes I think because a lot of these tech reviewers only use Apple as their daily driver, they can't see the bad points. But by and large, a lot of people, it's getting very positive reviews. So they're all saying it's the future. They're all saying it's a step forward. They're all saying that, a lot of people are saying it's worth the money. You can be the judge whether, you should be paying £1,000 or $1,200, whatever it is. $1,150, I think, is the most expensive one. It's a sexy phone, but it really does raise the question whether anyone should be paying that much money for a phone. But the reviews are out. They're all positive. A lot, minor criticisms and things, about the workaround when trying to, but obviously with the home button being away, you need to do, you need to navigate and browse and do all that using different kind of gestures. But it does seem to be getting very positive reviews. So guys, I will leave links to those articles and things, and you can check them out yourself. But yeah, the big news this week, iPhone X came out. OnePlus 5T are keeping the headphone jack. I did see someone saying that the Samsung S9 is dropping their headphone jack, but at this point I think it's just rumours because we're quite 4 or 5 months away from that being released. The Moto X4 and the HTC U11 Life I think look like really good mid-range phones, and I love the fact these phones are given more value for money. They've still got the 4K recording, they've still got 1080p 60 megapixel sensors at the front, but they're a little bit more affordable. They're not the powerhouses of flagship phones, and if you come from a flagship phone down to that, you will notice a hit in performance. But value for money, I think you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck. The HTC U11 Plus, I think I think they've done really well with that. I think they've took the HTC U11 and they've just made it better, really. They've improved the camera slightly, larger screen, and it's just a little tweaks, really. But I don't think there's enough for someone like myself to upgrade, personally. But if you don't have a phone yet and you're looking for one and you've got the money to spend, it is an expensive phone, without doubt, but it looks good. Let me know what you think about all these phones below, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So please do leave a comment below, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Take care.